Hi everyone, I've got nothing on. I'm going to show you today the do's and the don'ts that I personally feel you should and you shouldn't do. Even with the do's or even with the don'ts, a lot of people still do them and it looks fantastic on them. This is just my opinion. So yeah, I think a lot of people might hate me for this video, but this is just what I've learned over the years of following a lot of trends, a lot of beauty bloggers and a lot of makeup artists, and I just think, you know, once I do the do's and the don'ts, you can probably see that the do's side looks better than the don'ts side. So you've got my personal do's and don'ts that I have put together. So I'm just going to break this down. Right, so here we have really heavy foundation. So we've got the MAC Studio Fix liquid foundation all over, and I just think for daytime it can be a little bit heavy unless your skin's, you know, really dry and you prefer liquid foundation. That's fine, but maybe instead of using it with a flat brush, get a stipple brush or a sponge and just like really blend it into the skin. You know, and that was this side, and this side I've just used the Bobbi Brown foundation stick and, you know, put it on very lightly and then just blended it out with a beauty blender, and just kind of went over with a bit of concealer just to cover a few of the scars and spots that I have. I also used a Tom Ford concealer, it's very moisturizing and really light, whereas over here I feel like you can already see some of my wrinkles because I've just packed on so much product, and literally I feel like you can see the difference. Like this side, you know, just the skin looks much more heavier and a little bit caked on compared to this side. Also, the next thing was contouring. So I know it was like a trend to do the fish face and then, you know, get the line down, but if you look at this side and then if you look at that side, I feel like here my cheek is a lot more predominant, only because the contour is placed in the wrong area, and obviously I used quite a dark color. It is matte, but still I feel like it's too much of a line. You just see like a line, whereas here on this side is a little bit more blended and it's much higher up than it is over here, and because it's higher up I feel like it's giving me a better structure to my skin, like to my face shape. So I feel like you see less of the cheek on this side than you do on that side. I hope you can see that. Also, I think there was a thing where a lot of people would start the contouring from under the brow and just kind of bring it down. You know, you can do that, but I think you need to, if you're using a really dark color to contour, you need to go at least a shade or 2 shades lighter on the nose. It can't be the exact same color because when people look at you especially, they're going to look at your nose and they're going to see it. I used to make that mistake a lot. I used to wear a really strong color and I never used to blend it out very well, and I think a lot of people used to go on and on about it. I know at the moment it looks like this part is smudged. everybody comments on that on most of my videos. It's because I have a slightly bent nose, so it's just when the shadow falls on it, there's just nothing I can do, and I'm not gonna do a nose operation, I'm afraid. The other thing I've noticed people doing is they put a contour color right above the jawline, so it's kind of like you see this strong line sometimes in the sun, and you know, that's not where you really want to. It depends what your reasons are for why you're contouring over them. See, with me, I like my jawline, so I want it to stand out. So what I'm doing is using the contour color right underneath the jawline to kind of push the jawline up, if that makes sense. So I feel like I have a lot more definition here, and here I feel like it is just, you know, there's just like a lot of color going on here, if that makes sense. So this side, I feel the contouring just looks a little bit more blended in and just a little bit more natural, and I went quite natural around the nose around here as well. Now highlighting. I know there's this big thing about liquid highlighters, and it's all about like highlight on fleek and stuff, and that's great. I think really strong highlighter for an evening out or even for a bridal look is fine. I'm talking about, you know, Asian bridals. But I think on a day-to-day basis, especially because the lighting that you have in your room and at home is completely different to the lighting that you're going to have when you're outside or when you're at work. So you really don't want this silvery color, and I think a lot of people make the mistake of putting it way too high. See, this is your socket, and you should always try and keep your socket as clean and blended as possible, and use the highlight almost above, you know, so it's kind of like on the cheekbone. So here you can hardly see the highlight at the moment, and I've used Hourglass products, and the reason I like Hourglass highlighters are because they're very sheer. They look shimmery, but they're very sheer, whereas a lot of other ones, brands that I've used, they're very glittery. So again, they're great for a night out, but definitely not during the day. So here you can see it's just like, gosh, a lot of highlighting. And if you are somebody that doesn't have great skin or has very large pores or acne prone skin, I would really stay away from glittery products, because what they do is they emphasize your pores, and so that's why I try and stick to less highlighting. And if I do highlight, then I'll try and use something that's less shimmery and just as, you know, just to give you the glow in the skin rather than anything else. So right now I can see like the highlight here, which a lot of people do, you know, like down the thing and just like down the face, and I just felt like, oh my god, there's just like so much color going on here. Right, next would be you can apply blusher. I'm not a huge fan of blushes, which you probably would have noticed most of my videos. I personally feel I do have a round face, so I always feel whenever I apply colored blusher, and you're supposed to apply your blusher on the cheek, because the whole point is that you're blushing, so you don't naturally blush over here, and I think a lot of people tend to use blushes right out there, and it's not the correct way of applying it. So if you look at certain face charts, and you can Google this, depending on your face shape, some people apply it on the apple of the cheek or slightly lower, or maybe even over there, but definitely not there. That's for contouring. You know, you don't put a pink blusher over there. That's, you know, so I've not applied any blushes, it's just contouring and highlighting. Next would be eyebrows. I know, again, this whole eyebrows on fleek, so that's like a huge thing, getting really dark brows and then kind of you know, making it look a lot more stronger by going with a concealer or a foundation on the outline of it. And I think the arched brow, and I find the arched brow can work for round face or anything like that, but I do believe that when you have an arched brow, and it depends where your arched brow is as well, it can make you look a little bit like you have a bit of an attitude problem. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, it's not a good look, especially when, you know, people are meeting you for the first time. They are, you know, going to be scared of you, I think. So that was done with a pencil. I think a lot of people use, you know, actual gels as well. That's fine if you like it, but I do think it is quite a strong look. And I used to do very strong brows, and you know, I've kind of started to come off it just because I've realized when I see people doing brows now on like other YouTube videos and other makeup artists, the way they do brows on people, it's like they make it look as natural as possible, and the hairier the better. You know, they do these brush strokes to make it look like you've got a really full hairy brow, rather than this perfectly neat brow, which realistically you're never going to be born with, you know, and you know it. But right, so I used an Anastasia Beverly Hills, so I used the darker color on the outside just to fill it in. Obviously if you have a lot of hair there, you don't need to, and then just used a lighter color on the inside. So, and it's slightly more rounded and it's a little bit softer compared to, you know, this side. So if you look, that's like a bit more arched, and this one's just a bit more stronger. And as you can see, I have wrinkles on my forehead, and because I've used a lot of product, you can actually see the wrinkles a lot more on this side than this side, because yeah, the product is actually sitting in the wrinkle, if that makes sense. And if you, I don't know if you can see it, like I can see it, and I'm probably going to see it even clearly once it's on my laptop, but I just feel this side just looks a lot more natural in terms of skin and the brows. Going on to eyeliner. Trust me, when I started wearing eyeliner at the age of 14, I would do the top and bottom liner without fail. And honestly, even if I went down the street just to pick up milk or bread, I would never leave the house without the top and bottom liner. That was like, oh my God. And when I didn't wear it, people used to look at me and say, are you okay? Are you ill? Like everything, you know, okay? And I realized it's because it's such a strong look that when you don't wear it, people do notice it immediately. So I would say slowly by slowly, you know, get used to not doing it. See, this liner look, it's like a Bharatanatyam look. Like it is really strong for daytime. And I'm not sure if you do follow makeup artists, or even if you know, see Bollywood actresses, wherever we get our trends from, or fashion shows, or, you know, magazines, movies, whatever. I don't see anybody doing the top and bottom liner like this anymore, and just like with the, you know, massive on the inside and the outside. It's just like, it's pretty, and I sometimes do that with a sari for a wedding, and you know, sometimes my brides want this, and it's okay because it isn't, you know, like a typical Asian bridal look or like an Arabic look to emphasize the eyes. I get that, but I think for every day, for work and stuff, it's a little bit strong. So comparing this liner to this liner, doesn't this just look a lot more elegant? And I genuinely feel like my eyes look much prettier, the shape is nicer, and it actually looks bigger. Like I feel like this is just so much black. And here I've just used a top liner, not a crazy wing, not on the inside either, and I've just used a darker shadow at the bottom to kind of, you know, complete the look, because I think a lot of people forget about the bottom lashes. So you can start off you know, transitioning from this to this, and then get used to not doing the liner look all the time. Honestly, I get it. Like I used to do this every single day for years and years and years, probably about 10 years. I used to do the top and bottom liner. Everyone that knows me for a long time knows that about me. Now, I rarely wear eyeliner, and usually tend to wear it when I'm wearing, you know, going out at night or something like that. But a lot of the times nowadays, I just do a smoky eye without an eyeliner as well. So it's always nice to differentiate, you know, it's nice to have a daytime look and an evening look, you know, because people can see that you've made an effort, you know, you look different and not the same. And I find when you're so used to doing this look during the day, you're gonna do the exact same look for a dress, for a sari, for an occasion, and you know, it's a shame. Why not experiment, like play around with it? And with mascara, I think a lot of people think the more mascara you apply, the longer your lashes are gonna look or whatever. But if you look, this one just looks really clumpy and just like not very neat and clean, whereas this side just looks a lot more natural. And of course, if you have some impermanent lashes, great. If you have false lashes, I would say with this look, you definitely need something a lot more natural looking. So if you just want volume, get something for volume rather than those crazy, you know, drag queen kind of lashes. So I would say, you know, if you look at this side, it just looks a little bit more natural, and if you look at this side, it looks a lot more heavier. Now the other thing, lipstick. It was such a trend in the 90s to do the dark lip liner and then fill the inside in. And you know what, it used to look great. And when I look at, you know, when I watch a lot of old Tamil films, I see that, you know, and they used to do the dark brown, the black, name it. I just think it's not really a trend anymore. Again, I don't really see it. I don't really see it on runways or magazines or movie stars or whatever. Like I said, I don't really see it. And I just think, you know, especially if you're doing this eye, I would stay away from doing lips like this. Like, I mean, that's just, it looks pretty, but I just don't think it really goes. It's just, there's just too much going on. There's just too many dimensions, too many products, too many colors, and it's not natural looking at all. So I would say personally, stop doing the dark liner. Whereas if you look on this side, it just looks much more natural and pretty. And if you are concerned about your lip shape, and the reason you do the darker lip liner, you know, is to make your lips bigger, is actually not correct, because doing the lip liner really dark on the outside, what it's doing, it's like contouring, it's like pushing the lip back down. So if you want your lips to look fuller, I would say with the lip liner, especially a lighter one, just go like outside of your lip line, of your natural lip line, and fill it in. It will look much more natural, and you know, without it looking so drawn on and fake. Like, I just genuinely feel like from miles away, you can see I've got so much going on, and I still think it looks pretty. It does look nice, but I think this is a lot more trendy, fresher, you know, glowy, healthy, and natural. And this look alone, I could do for a daytime look. I could bust this to work, and I'm pretty sure people will think it's very classy and elegant looking. Whereas this, to me, I'm sorry to say, but it just looks a little bit trashy to me personally. So this is definitely not me. Like, I would just not do this. So and if I was going to do it, I would do one or the other. So at least I'll do this look, but less of the lips for an evening out or whatever. So it's completely up to you. I'm really, really sorry if I have offended anybody. I'm just, you know, talking about personal experiences, things I have tried before, and things that have worked and that haven't worked. And I would say, being a professional makeup artist and having done it for about 10 years, maybe it gives me the right to kind of have an opinion about it. And also, like I said, I follow a lot of makeup artists, whether it's America or India, and you know, like both sides of the world. And I watch a lot of movies, whether it's Bollywood, whether it's Tamil films, whether it's, you know, Hollywood, and I do follow a lot of fashion designers and the things that they do on runways. So that's where I get my inspiration from in terms of trends, just like with clothes, you know. So I think it's easier to go into Topshop and know what, you know, what the current trend is, but I think when it comes to makeup, it's a little bit more difficult because they don't necessarily talk about it in makeup stores. You know, you just go in there and you've got all these colors, and you just try and stick to something that you're comfortable with because you've done it for many years. But I would say, you know what guys, the less is always better. So try, just, you know, like I said, the word transitioning, slowly by slowly change it around a little bit, you know. And I always think, you know what, just use less products. Don't get fooled by watching so many million Instagram videos where people use, gosh, like so many products just to create a look. And it's great. Like, I watch some of these videos and I'm like, wow, they look amazing. But realistically, are you really going to have the time to do this every single day, every single time you walk out of the house? Like, I just think, you know what, especially for women who are getting older, it's always a nicer look when you look fresh and glowy, and people think, you know, you haven't aged a bit. Like, I want to look younger than older, if that makes sense. So again, I'm really, really sorry if I've upset anybody. I hope in the long run you will take my advice, and in the long run you would think, actually, you know what, Vithya was right, even if you're just going to be like, oh, how dare she, but you know, you might in the future. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys learned a lot. But yeah, loads and loads of love. Please give it, I know I'm gonna get loads of feedback, but you know, I'm willing to hear it all and people's opinions. You never know, some of you might change my mind, you know, and I might start wearing a darker lip liner. Who knows? But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and don't hate me too much.